This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. Who is scarier? Is it the people on the left or the people on the right? Now, I want to discuss this because obviously I know the people who listen to this channel are likely to say the people on the right. And I agree 100%. But I want to talk about the boogeyman and the stereotypes that they've ingrained in all of us. This is how they sneak by. This is how they get away with stuff like this, because they have us always looking in the wrong direction. They've brainwashed us with stereotypes based on what people look like, what people wear, right? What people do for a living, what color a person's skin is. They create all of this stuff in our head, but it is always 99 times out of 100, it's going to be the person who's responsible for whatever heinous act, whether it's a child abduction, a child rape, which is really what I'm alluding to here, satanic ritual abuse, and people who are part or a part of these satanic cults are going to be the person in a suit or the person you least suspect, right? And why is that? That is because they've created this perception in our minds. This perception that person in a suit is the rich, successful type. And the things in life we should fear are the things that don't exist. The boogeyman, right? Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, Freddy Krueger, right? Nightmare on Elm Street. Well, the only Nightmare on Elm Street that's going on right now is the nightmare in this world. This entire world is Elm Street. But they have people looking at these things and being scared of the wrong things. Like somebody might jump out of their closet and kill them at night, or be under their bed. Or, all of these murders and things happen because there's individuals out there who snap and lose it and become serial killers. When in reality, most of these guys who are serial killers are a part of a cult at some point in their lives, or are even a part of it when they're doing those killings, those ritual killings. And that's why a lot of these serial killers are glorified in our society. There's been many serial killers that have come and gone, but they're glorified. Ted Bundy, Jeffrey Dahmer, right? We see Jeffrey Dahmer, the artwork in the Podesta household, referencing the murders of Jeffrey Dahmer. Now, why do you think that is? Because to them it is art, and what Jeffrey Dahmer did to them is art. Dahmer was a Satanist. Dahmer was somebody who claimed before he died to find Jesus Christ, and I hope for his sake he did. But do you understand the standpoint that I'm trying to make here? If we erase the stereotypes that they've created in our minds and we start looking at the world for what it truly is, you'll start looking at the guys in the business suits as being the people who are suspect, right? And not just the guys in the business suit. What are we told about the little old lady, right? The old women, she's just an old woman. She's 70 years old. She wouldn't do anything. And then you see stuff like McMartin, where you see Peggy here. You see this family of these old women, and people look at it and they go, these women are responsible for child trafficking. These women are abusing kids, right? Just another reason that they got off the hook, because they even played that card and said, look at these people. You're telling me these old women are doing stuff like this? Of course they're not. They're church-going type. These are the stereotypes they've ingrained in people's heads so that we don't look at who the real people are who are involved in all of the things that are going on, the child trafficking, the human sacrifice. We look at one another, right? We don't look at the doctor or the person, an executive or a CEO. We look at them and we're supposed to go, oh, how wonderful. He's a CEO of a corporation, even though these people are put in those positions. But the reason that they brainwash people is because they don't want you looking there. They want you always looking in a different direction, and us looking at one another, right? These old women that we see all the time popping up in these ritual cases, grandmothers who prostitute their own daughters or granddaughters into these satanic covens, right? I did a video a few months ago where I showed a woman's testimony talking about how her grandmother was abusing her. Her grandmother was allowing men to rape her. Her grandmother was raping her herself and forcing her to drink blood, animal blood, and kill animals and do all this stuff and be involved in sacrificing of babies. This is how they get away with this stuff, because of the stereotypes and the perceptions that they create. And if you start going through life and you start taking your blinders off, you see the guy in the business suit and you'll say, something's up with this guy, right? A CEO of a corporation, something's up with this guy. Of course, there are little old grandmas who are not part of covens, but there's more that are a part of it than you would possibly imagine. But instead, they want you looking at what? They want you looking at the white guy living in the trailer park, right? With the wife beater thing on, right? The white tank top, who's got a mustache and maybe looks dirty and he's poor, and they say that's the guy who's trafficking or molesting kids because he's strange looking, right? Because they create this perception of what you're supposed to look like if you're involved in child abuse or pedophilia, right? They don't talk about how it's a billion to trillion dollar industry and that the people likely behind it have to have that kind of money to be involved in it, not a guy living in a trailer park. They just want to show you these isolated cases. When the stories break on any of these pedo cases, right, they always make them isolated. Oh, this guy was creeping after the girl, and oh my goodness, and everybody's all upset about it. Of course the elites will let stories like that come out. They want those stories out there. But then when you start talking about billions and trillions of dollars, when you talk about sex trafficking, you talk about satanic rituals, which is the common theme we always hear, and then the therapist or the judge will say, well, now that's just crazy. No, it's not crazy. That's what's going on. The crazy part is how they fooled everyone into not thinking this stuff is real. So again, they have us looking for Freddy Krueger, right? In a sense, they have us looking for this guy who fits the stereotype. Maybe big glasses, right? Looks like he smells or hasn't showered in a while. Or they have us looking at what? When there's other crimes that go on. They want white people to think that black people are involved in doing crimes because of how they look. Oh, boy. Oh, he might have his hat on sideways, so we should look at him as a suspect because of how he's dressed or how he talks or how he walks. This is the illusion that they've created inside of this matrix that we all need to see going on around us, because when we stop looking in the wrong direction and we start pointing fingers in the right direction, then answers start coming out. Then people start seeing the truth and they stop fighting amongst each other, right? They want us to fight amongst each other. They want white people and black people to hate each other. They want us to fall into this stereotype of judging people on how they look or what they're wearing instead of who they are as a person and what their character is. Okay? They want us always looking for the boogeyman that doesn't exist, to fear the things that aren't there. It's right, the fear of the unknown. Well, they tell us that all these things are going on and they want to keep us in fear. But the thing that nobody will believe is going on are these satanic rituals, these satanic covens, these satanic organizations that front and traffic children in and out, day and night, abuse them ritually, abuse them sexually. And it is the successful guy, as hard as that is for people to believe. Most of these people are very successful and very wealthy. Of course, it doesn't mean that there's not people at the bottom who are involved who might not have money. Of course, there are. But the majority, especially these trafficking rings, are all controlled by powerful people in wealthy positions and powerful positions of government, of business, you name it, of finance. And they get away with stuff like this because people refuse to look at those people, right? They use fronts such as Christianity, right? They pretend that they're Christians. Oh, well, he could never do it. He's a CEO of an organization. He's a CEO of a Fortune 500 company. And on Sundays, he goes to church with his wife and kids. He would never do that, right? Because they go above and beyond to put this front on, to put this show on. And I wanted to do this video and just rant about it, because it's so important for you, if you're somebody who's listening who is young, to break away from the stereotype mentality, because that type of mentality enslaves us also. Not just from a standpoint of, oh, you're judging someone on how they look or how they dress, but from the perspective of these people who walk and live amongst us, who are a part of these secret societies, who are doing these awful things in the world that we don't hear about, but we know is going on. And when we do hear about it, the finger gets pointed at the stereotype. Oh, it's got to be this guy over here. He's poor. He's living in a trailer. Can't be the doctor. No, he's in church on Sunday doing all these great, wonderful things. I've talked before about philanthropy, right? It's one of the greatest crocs to ever exist. It's in the books that they read, when they're taught, when they grow through all of these orders that are involved in. Philanthropy is always pushed. Why do you think that is? Because they use it as a front for people subconsciously. They don't even realize it. They go, well, my charity organization, and people don't realize that they're processing that going, wow, that's wonderful. David Rockefeller has a charity organization with all his money. He's giving it back to the people and doing good things for them. It makes people automatically think that these people are do-gooders, that they're doing good things for the world, and they can always use that. They can use it as a deflection tool when you confront somebody about it, one of these people who's involved in these organizations. Like, look at Hillary Clinton with what we've seen with the trafficking and all this stuff and Pizzagate, right? She has organizations for child trafficking that are fronts. They're not just fronts so that she can get away with the stuff. They're also fronts so that if she gets caught with her hand in the cookie jar, she can go, hey, That's not true. I fight against this. What do you do? Huh? What do you do? I put my money that I make back in to help children in third world countries. This is how the elites operate, through philanthropy. Why do you think all these actors, they all have charity organizations, all of them, from Kim Kardashian to you name the person. It's not because they're the kindest, most caring people who just want to give back because they make so much money and they want to give back to the world. It's for the perception, right? So they can always use that. And somebody can go, Kim Kardashian is not like that. You shut up and stop saying that stuff about her. She has cancer organizations that donate money to cancer organizations and charities and all sorts of things. Celebrity after celebrity after celebrity, right? Same thing. Philanthropy is used as a front. So these are all things that they use to make themselves look like they're great people, that they would never be involved in anything like this, right? So even if you brought stuff like this up to somebody, they go, could that really be true? And then they put on the TV and see Ryan Reynolds or Ashton Kutcher's charity, and they go, oh, this is a call for an uprising, or these people are Looney Tunes. Don't listen to the people online. Look, he's got a charity set up protecting children. Why do you think that is? They're 10 steps ahead. They understand mind control to a T. They've studied it since Egypt. They've used mind control. Okay, now with the television and all this stuff, they have it down to a T. And they use all of these things as psychological weapons to influence people, whether they realize they're being influenced or not. Because on a subconscious level, these things are getting implanted in your head, whether you realize it or not. Whether you're watching Keeping Up with the Kardashians and you're seeing Kanye West and Kim Kardashian do some type of charity for kids, and you might just be watching it going, oh, that's nice. It's implanting something in your head. So if you heard about, oh, they're involved in trafficking, or they could be, the person's automatically going to dismiss it. Oh, I saw them doing great things. Oh, you shut up. That stuff's not going on. These are good people. You're just judgmental. You're just jealous. You're just a hater. They've set this entire arsenal up. It's a wall of defense, and it's all psychological. So when we break free from that, when we stop using stereotypes to look at people, whether it's their skin color or their clothes or their appearance, as far as weight or whatever, what car they drive, all this stuff. They want it completely stereotyped that way when it comes to child trafficking, when it comes to anything involving the bad things in this world, as they're supposed to look like because of the fronts of wearing a suit and tie, of being a doctor or whatnot, right? And then saying, well, he became a doctor because he earned it the old-fashioned way. He went to school for 50 years, when he got his master's, and he got his master's again, and oh, he earned it. Don't be jealous because he did that and you didn't do that. These are all fronts for them and covers for them because they've created this bubble in our head of what's successful and what's not, and what it looks like to be successful and what it doesn't, and what it looks like to be creepy or a pedophile or something disgusting or disturbing or weird, right? That's what they've done. So break free from those shackles. I wanted to do a video just pointing it out because people are more scared of things, right? They put on Halloween, they put on Nightmare on Elm Street, they put on Friday the 13th, they put on Scream, and then we're likely to jump when they see that. Well, when I walk down the street and I see a guy in a suit or a group of guys in a suit at 1 o'clock in the afternoon having a corporate lunch, I jump, okay? I'm creeped out because, of course it doesn't mean every guy in a suit is involved in this stuff. Of course not even close, because people unfortunately have to be slaves to the system and go to work, and some jobs make you wear a suit. But I'm saying it from the perspective of the elites and how they dress and how they operate and how they conduct themselves in public is not who they really are. And so when we break free from those stereotypes, we can see them for who they are, and who these people and what they're trying to hide is pretty clear. They're trying to hide their involvement in these satanic rings, which involve child trafficking, human sacrifice, blood ritual, demonic possession, all of this stuff that they're indoctrinating our children with, your children with, and the future children, our children's children with. So we have to fight free from that stuff and start teaching ourselves and our children not to look at those things and to be aware and suspicious of people and not to give them the benefit of the doubt because of their job or who they are. Because trust me, many parents out there would leave their child with somebody if they said, well, she's a nanny, but she's personally certified from, Harvard or whatever, some elite or some place where in their head they go, oh, she went to this school, and and her husband's a doctor, then it's safe there. Whereas the guy next to her who they're looking at to hire to babysit their kid could be a guy who works at Walmart, and they say, he works at Walmart, he's not watching our kid. And that's exactly how they get away with this stuff, because they create this illusion of trust through all of these things. So don't fall into the deception of any of that stuff. Trust in Jesus Christ alone. Trust in your own discernment. And don't give people the benefit of the doubt based on those things I just went over, okay? Let's make people aware of this stuff so people know that these people are lurking amongst us. It's more than you'll ever imagine. If we make people aware, we can start outing these people and calling them out and running them back into the woods where they belong. I thank you for listening to today's show. I hope you found this information helpful. God bless all of you and your families.